welcome back to my YouTube. It's your girl Honey. Today we're talking about having your Pluto in the 8th house. Now the 8th house is home to Scorpio. Scorpio is the ruler of Pluto. Pluto represents transformation, your sexuality, the rebirth, crisis. And the 8th house represents transformation, sex, the rebirth, crisis, other people's resources, joint finances, occult subjects, taboo subjects. It's a very intense house, and I'm from the Pluto and Scorpio generation, so a lot of the people around me have their Pluto in Scorpio. So those of you who do have Scorpio in the 8th house, you guys almost have like a double whammy. You know, it's very Pluto in its own house can be a good thing and it can be a bad thing depending on how you deal with it. All right. Now, it just intensifies the whole intensity of having your Pluto in its home, in its house and home sign. So I want to just start talking about the sexuality. All right, because I know a lot of you Pluto Scorpio people in the 8th house are hella sexual, and you guys want to probably hear about that first. So let me just get into it. You guys have this thing where you're searching for the truth. You're searching for depth, you know, a deeper meaning to everything. So when Pluto falls into the 8th house, your sexual style is going to be searching for the truth in people. All right. You're going to want to be dating people who have real life stories to share, real sexual subjects, people who have been through crisis, trauma, you know, issues growing up, whatever that's made them this very strong individual, this powerful person, is going to be almost a turn on for you, because you could never date someone who isn't real or hasn't been through the same traumas or triumphs that you may have experienced. Okay, there's also the fact that these people can become sexual vampires or have very strong sexual energy where they have this thing where a lot of them subconsciously like fuck the soul out of you, almost to say, like, they will literally snatch the soul out of you. Their sex style is soul snatching sex. All right, they are trying to really, you know, that's why when you're sleeping with a Pluto in the 8th house person, you will never forget the sexual experience, because when they're sleeping with you, it almost feels like they're trying to get something out of you, but obviously you just being there in the moment it's just sex, but it always feels like it's a little bit more than sex. You know, these people have a very, very high sex drive, libido, and it doesn't mean that these people are out here sleeping with any and everybody. This all depends on the chart. However, these people are definitely someone who, especially if Mars is in here, it kind of contributes to someone who really, really connects to their partners through sex, through having sex. And to be fair, I should be saying intimate, because they need a level of intimacy from their partners that a lot of other people don't necessarily need. For an 8th house Pluto person, it's the intimacy that really makes them feel fulfilled. These people can be very dominating, and this probably depends as well on your other placements. Sometimes when you guys are having arguments with your partners as well, husbands, wives, whatever, and you can't seem to get through a bad patch, you end up connecting with your partner or reconnecting with your partner through sex or sharing intimate favors. All right. And how this kind of works is you kind of feel like sex is the answer to everything, or not to everything, but to, you know, to most things. And you being someone who ends up, you know, you'll argue with your partner, but make-up sex is ideal, you know, and sharing each other's moment, because we got to remember sex is a spiritual thing, and these people have crazy sex appeal. You know, when you can just smell that someone, oh man, he's good in bed, like you can just tell. It's like this placement contributes to you being someone who's very, very good in bed and dominating, someone who would never be forgotten. And that's exactly the energy that people pick up of you. Even if you're not the most attractive person in the world, it's the sex appeal that people really appreciate about you. Now, as this is the house of other people's resources, joint finances. This is a typical placement that you see of like what society may deem as a gold digger, all right? And it's like having your Lilith in Taurus or your Lilith in the 8th house. You could also be someone who is very attracted to somebody else who is powerful, who has money. Because what happens when you got power? What happens when you got money? You've got power behind you. When you have money, you can do next to anything in this world. So a Pluto 8th house person would look at that and think, okay, this man, if it's woman or whatever, I don't know, this man to me, he can have anything he wants. He's powerful, regardless of what he looks like. He can provide for me. I want what he has. And the mad thing is, that may be her goal, but she is able to attract men to her that are okay with her having a goal, having with her saying things and believing that I like powerful men, rich men who have money. Because this placement can also make you attract rich men that have money, and they're okay with your mindset. That's why I never like frown upon the gold diggers or men who date attractive women and they know that they're gold digging them, because they work hand in hand with each other. It's hand in hand. That's why I'm like, do your thing. If you want to be gold digging, that's fine. But the thing is, it's with this placement, it makes you someone who, appreciates someone with power. And even if he hasn't got any money right now, maybe he may be in line to inherit some money. He may own land in a different country, or something that requires you as an 8th house person to have the possibility to actually inherit that for yourself. Because again, this is the house of inheritance as well, right? 8th house. It could make you someone, and this all depends on how well or badly your Pluto could be aspected, all right? So when you got Saturn aspects, for example, Saturn makes you wait a long period of time, and if you've got this aspect to your Pluto, there could be a possibility that you may have to wait a long time for you to actually inherit something. And also, Pluto being in this house can also represent your enemies, right? And it can contribute to you possibly having a divorce, going through a separation, and you have to kind of half everything, but your partner may not want to half anything with you, and you may have to go through legal situations, attend court, get lawyers, and go through the separation in a legal type of way. And it all depends on how your Pluto is aspected, but sometimes Pluto here can bring problems with your marital partner, but also it can bring blessings. It all just depends on how you as a person deal with it. But this is the house of transformation, so relationships like that would transform you into a new person, a new being. Just like having sex with certain people will transform you into a new being, because it's the house of transformation. Now, sometimes it can make you someone who is very into like sexual fetishes. I'm not even gonna list what I know, but fetishes can be, anything. But because this is also the house of secrets, it would be something that you keep very private, personal to yourself, or personal between you and your partner. Now, Pluto is also seen as a malefic as well, depending on how it's aspected and how you can relate to that as an individual yourself, right? But Pluto can also bring trauma as a child, depending on what's aspected. If Mars is there, or Mars is, swearing or even opposing, it can definitely contribute to you having experienced some type of sexual abuse. Saturn as well, and also Chiron you've got to look out for as well. And it just contributes to you being someone who may have unfortunately had experienced trauma, and this would have given you a very negative outlook on sex and intimacy. And this is what would make you that situation could transform you into being someone who may only want to be intimate with people who really value you and You know, you're not someone who's into just having sex intimate with one person and then intimate with another person the next couple of weeks or whatever. You really want that person to show that they value you. It's very important that you look to see how your Pluto is aspected, to see exactly how it contributes to your sexuality. And now you've also got to be very, very careful when it comes to your Pluto in this house, because this is also the house of other people's resources, okay? And we are in a time where there are fraudsters, there are bank scammers, 419ers, whatever you guys call it, wherever you are. But there's a lot of like fraud going on around us. And someone who has their Pluto in this house, even in the second house, right? Or yeah, in the second house, it can connect you to banks, dealing with other people's money. You've got to be very, very careful with that, because what Pluto does is it will bless you with these things, but also it will take things away. And because Pluto is a malefic, it takes a long time to go through each sign. It can really give you a hard time. It can really give you a hard time recovering from that situation. And Pluto being here can make you have to deal with that karma, you know, that silly mistake that you've had to deal with. And even if you've got Mars, especially Mars, you know, because Mars squares oppositions to Pluto, it makes you someone very, very angry. All right. And what I've seen, some people get into like situations where they could intimidate someone aggressively, violently, cause GBH, you know, grievous bodily harm on someone to get their money. You know, like someone could get burgled. Like over in the UK, we've got this program called Crime Watch, and they basically reenact crime situations that have happened. And I've seen some awful things on there, and they show they show people who have got severely hurt, tied up, tortured. Mars squaring your Pluto in the 8th house for someone who may go into criminal activities and take their resources because that's what you need. But listen, when you're spending that person's money, okay, nothing good ever comes out of it. And you have to be very, very careful never to cheat someone out of their money, because you will always feel the karma from that. You know, it's weird with Pluto, because Pluto can provide you with the intelligence and the resources to achieve the money, right, from other people, because this is the house of joint finances, however, or other people's resources. However, Pluto has the dark side to it, and it can also punish you for obtaining these things in a bad way, like hurting somebody. Now, what I do love about this placement is the fact that it gives you blessings as well, you know, especially when you've got Neptune in your 12th house, or, you know, Neptune stelliums. And it's crazy, because Pluto in this house, it definitely gives you that gift, psychic abilities, in a sense, where because the 8th house is dealing with occult subjects. So by nature, this person is going to have an interest in the dark side of spirituality. And I don't mean like someone who practices dark magic. I mean, that can come out of this house, by the way, it really can. But it would give someone an interest to learn about it, explore it. You have not got to practice it, but you can, right? But Pluto in the 8th house people definitely have a real interest in 8th house matters, like astrology, even, as that's seen as dark, okay, taboo subjects. You know, it's a very spiritual house. So having this placement here can bring blessings, because it's in its home house. But you've also got to look at, you know, the other things that it could possibly bring. It all varies on how you as an individual are willing to deal with this placement. So that's my video of Pluto in the 8th house. Please like, subscribe, share, comment. I'll see people in the next one. Take care, people.